I welcome back the participants for the session 2 on rural entrepreneurship, bridging global landscape and regional reality, opportunities and challenges. The speaker for the session is Dr. Chetan Srivastava. Dr. Chetan Srivastava is an associate professor at School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad. He has vast experience of over 2 decades in academics and industry in varied capacities in training, research, and consulting. He has to his credit about 40 plus papers and articles. He is the youngest PhD holder in Faculty of Management, Usmania University. He has relinquished his role as proctor and co-chair, Placement Guidance and Advisory Bureau, University of Hyderabad. He is also the coordinator, postgraduate diploma in energy management. He is the executive editor, Journal of Advances in Management Sciences and Information Sciences, Canada. He is on editorial board for quite a few international and national journals. He authored few best-selling books which are part of standard curriculum for varied courses in varied universities across the country. He is a recipient of many prestigious awards. Sir, we are happy to hear you today.
Thank you a lot, Dr. Shweta, for the introduction.
Thank you, sir.
I hope we'll start this session and move ahead. Is that fine? Should I start?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful day today, and a wonderful kind of thing to move in, where we talk about having a session at the particular university, Mahatma Gandhi University, to talk about the spirit of Mahatma Gandhi ji. Basically he was more focused on rural India, rural kind of thing to go, because he knew that basically somebody who is best, if you want to look India at a beautiful state, the only thing which could happen is with the rural entrepreneur, rural India to go. And so we'll begin with our session on the thing to go, and rural entrepreneurship, bridging the global landscape and regional reality. So a warm welcome to all of you and a good morning to everyone. So let us move ahead. So before we actually go, and I would like to thank all the COVID warriors. That's the reason why we are here today, happily sharing in our room and at our safest places, and we are able to do this because of them. So thank you all the doctors, all the health staff, and all the people to go, and because we are now able to withstand in this thing and this particular webinar also, or FDP program also, we are all able to do it only because of them. A big thanks to everyone from the bottom of my heart to go on, and because of you we are able to do it. You are the real heroes of our country. We value your efforts. So thank you everyone. A disclaimer for my session, because usually you see it in movies, satellite serials and everything to go on, but let me tell you here, you will have it in my session, because I will be giving some examples, certain things which may sometimes get into the minds of people, directly, indirectly, going to hurt somebody, and that's a pure unintentional. So please, I'm very sorry for that. And I have taken some pictures, some photos, so which I have cited some of them, but some of them we could not cite due to certain issues to go. And so I do not claim them, but it's only for mere academic purpose. So we'll begin with Mahatma Gandhi ji. So your university also is named. I am so fortunate that I am associated with the university right from its inception to move. And he beautifully said, the soul of India lies in its villages, and let the villages of the future live in our imagination, so that one day we will come to live in them. So very beautifully said. I had a wonderful childhood where I was in villages of interior Telangana. I had my early childhood, like in Kosgi, the 1 year Kodnagal and all, Mehboob Nagar, Bhongir, and finally I came to Hyderabad at a later stage of my life. So I have a flavor of all the villages, interior villages life also. I still remember those childhood memories very beautifully, but there are a lot of hardships, also a lot of other things to also go. And so Mahatma Gandhi beautifully in his spirit said that there's no better way of industrializing the villages in India than spilling the will. That's the time when he thought that, how do I make my India, or how do I make my thing basically wonderful? So it all started with his thing, which is basically, kind of I think industrializing things to move. And so when you're talking about this to go, when you are looking at industrialization, it is when you talk about Mahatma Gandhi thinking that only thing which we can do for a country to develop is basically making the wheel of India and things to go. So in a true democracy of India, unit is the village. If you understand this basic concept and rural kind of thing to go on, then we would have done a wonderful thing to go. And we are, if you look in today, most of us would have been zazzed by the cities and all to go on. But end of the day, when we are trying to talk about having certain things to move, you always have, one we would like to get into, the villages and things to move the zazz of the city and the what should I say, attraction of a city would do in. But when you actually look in, we all now long back to go to villages, to move in and go across. The future of India lies in its villages, very beautifully said by Mahatma Gandhi. And that's what we are trying to do. And the India's future basically points to the, basic kind of thing, which is, Indian villages to move in. So when you're trying to talk about when the future of India gets into it to move, when you have this, you know, uh, future of village in India to go in. So when we are trying to talk about what do we do in this villages, how do we do across and how do we manage and move across and ahead to go in. So now there's a big battle. When you talk about the battle between this to go on, it is not political. Please do not take it as political. But I'm trying to talk about the basic divide which is between India and versus Bharat. When we talk about the Bharat, the dream of Mahatma Gandhi, the dream of, every, Indian to go, and we talk about it to go. So when you're trying to talk about this kind of India versus Bharat or India with Bharat, when you talk about, so when you talk about thing to move and so when you talk about this to go, you always have this, there's a question, is it India versus Bharat or India with Bharat? So when you're trying to talk about this particular thing to go, and when we say India versus Bharat or India with Bharat, that's a better option to go. And it's not about versus, because once you say versus, it's going to be a great divide to go in. So how do I take my India along with my Bharat to move in? So when you're trying to do it, that is where your rural entrepreneurship, rural kind of industrialization, rural kind of upliftment, rural and empowerment would happen when you talk about having this kind of thing to move in, where we talk about basically having the kind of basic move which actually goes into thing to move. So when you're trying to talk about having this kind of thing to move in, when India and Bharat goes together, that is one. And then you talk about how do I basically work on making India the Bharat or the Bharat the India to go in, and where you're trying to talk about this to move, this how it actually moves. And so there's a huge gap, that particular thing which actually would make us feel at times to go in, because when since I have come from villages, since I have come from this to go, and I understand this particular concept to go in, there's a huge contrast between urban India and a rural Bharat to go in, or we talk about India versus Bharat, you always have this kind of thing to go. And so when you're trying to talk about this to move, when you are really having this kind of thing which actually goes, and so you have the factor which actually works. And because are we contrasting when we are trying to talk about being, you see, look at this happiness around in urbanites with all this prosperity signs. When you look at the rural India, though we talk about having a lot of money, lot of things to go in, so usually when you look in this is what happens to go in, when the poverty, the ones who are feeding the country, those are ones who are basically the backbone of our nation, are still a part of poverty to move in, or who are not able to make their ends meet. So are we looking at envisaging this kind of Bharat, or are we looking at this kind of India which goes in, which creates a huge divide between rural and urban kind of thing to move, and which actually works in and talks about making it a wonderful India to go in, where I would wish to have an India wherein you do not have a basic difference between India and Bharat. When you talk about the India and Bharat to go, and so when you are trying to talk about having the India and Bharat online, which actually goes, and so there should not be a difference between India and Bharat, and people should have equal opportunities in both the places, and life should be wonderful in all the part. That's what we are trying to talk about, rural entrepreneurship and to go, and that's one part. Now when you talk about the second part, when we say India versus world, We talk about India being the superpower, India being the kind of thing to go on, and we are trying to talk about having the, the best part of India to move in, and so we would like to compete with the world. We have been doing it. India, one point of time in our history, we were the number one. We were the ones who were the, educators of the world, who were the leaders of the world. We had the most prosperity. We were the philosophers, thinkers. You name it, we were the one who were showing the light to the world. Where did we miss? Somewhere we missed on to that, because the internal fabric, internal DNA of India has been mutated actually. Can we go back to our own DNA originality to move in, and which actually goes in. So when you're trying to talk about this to move, when you are looking in, having this to go, and this particular thing would help you to move. And so let us talk about India Bharat ka power duniya mein. So that's what we are trying to do, and we actually want to have a kind of power which is basically in India to go. And so India's way is not Europe's. So no, that's one beautiful statement again by Gandhi ji, to talk about India is not Calcutta and Mumbai. That's something which you talk about it to go, because we are not discriminating India to go in about it. We don't talk about India and metros. Obviously when today we live in metro. I'm in Hyderabad, and I understand one of the leading metros of the world. So when you talk about to go on, we have think about real India lies in 700,000 villages. So when you talk about to go on, so very very beautifully to go. When you talk about it to do in the India basically, who is the one which is of villages to move. So how do you do, and what do you do? So we are trying to talk about having the kind rural India versus urban India. So that's what happens. Are we going to have this divide? How long? And the discriminator would only be the education. If you see the school here and this to go on, rural India versus urban India. When you talk about urban India is this, rural India, there is a divide. So how long will we keep this divide? That's the thing to go on. Though we try to talk about India, the contribution of the kind of thing is wonderful from rural India to go, but are they enjoying? They are not enjoying the thing to go on. So when you're trying to talk about the fruits of their labor to go in and move across, so when you remember Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, once you were there, you said Jai Jawan, then he said Jai Kisan. So that's something which is very important. The one who was basically the one who is feeding the, and I said the profession which is the mother of all the profession or feeds all the profession is the farmer, because if the farmer is not there, none of the professions would be there, because we will not have the basic food. We can't eat money, we can't eat anything, development, anything, but we need to end of the day have this food. But again, where comes the technology? Jai Vigyan. So that's the third part when you go on. So we talk about getting technology to rural India, rural kind of thing to go on, so that you are trying to bring them back to the thing and reduce the divide. That's what it actually goes in and works across. So when you are trying to talk about the thing to go and you remove from Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan and Jai Vigyan. So we are trying to talk about bringing the Vigyan into the thing to go on and get into the kind of thing. The rural life is better than urban life. We all know it. If you go and see, urban life has a zazz. We have things to go and so on and so forth. There's always a divide in this to go on. But when you look at the green fields, when you talk about the pollution, less environment, absolute free, everything is in nature, natural kind of thing. We don't need an air conditioner. We don't need a water purifier. We don't need these things to go on. We really are hassle free basically, because that something goes on, but it has its own limitation. It has its own issues to go, and it has its own problems to go. So there's always some thing to go, but grass is always green on the other side, because rural people will believe that seeing this as urban side is this and rural side is this to go on. So urban vibes versus rural charm, that's what we have to understand. Rural is charming, that's what I say. You always stay in rural India is charming India. When you talk about the real Bharat Mata lies in the rural world to go. And so we are trying to empower the rural world and make it on par with the thing to go, and without losing its basic DNA or characteristics. Then the village marts, this where we are focusing. And I still remember we had something called Angadi, Santa. So Angadi and Santa were there basically, the weekly marts, weekly villages and things to go, and where people who have to come there with their producers, their things to go, and people used to go and buy things to move and so on and so forth. It could be a rural markets, which could be vegetables, food grains and things to go. And the life in villages is something which is the total different to go. And you talk about the entrepreneurs who are there. It could be somebody who is growing vegetables, who is growing food grains, who is growing cash crops, and who is doing something to go for that to go on one side. Second side, who is working on fields to go, and then who is working on agriculture produce, who are looking on some of the kind of artisans who are working. That will talk about the entrepreneurs which goes. And so how do I see that this gap between the global prosperity and the rural villages be matched? So matching this reality which actually goes and would be one which actually works across. If you look in the artisans, we have been using so many products of them, but actually when you do, and what do I actually get? So when you talk about to go, and when we are trying to look at the kind of a thing to move, you always talk about this, the rural artisans who make from jute, cottons and things to go, in the paintings, normal painting, the handicraft, the ones who are working on to it. They're all examples of rural entrepreneurs. I will tell you one thing about rural India is the people there are highly entrepreneurial, but only issue is they lack those facilities, they lack those basic issues to go and so on and so forth. That will make them a difficult proposition to go. So that particular thing which actually creates an issue for them is the lack of opportunities, or the lack of recognition, the lack of infrastructure which actually moves in. So we would look to do what I'm going to do. How do you bridge this gap? In the due course of my session, I'll tell you how do you do that particular thing. What is that importance to move? Look at the rural products. Today we talk about agro products, we talk about organic products, we talk about, these are all rural entrepreneurs. Look at this woman who has a small setup in this to go in, or this is a rural heart kind of thing, a kind of a fest where you talk about everything which is made at a local artisans and things to go, which goes. And look at a rural villager to go in, and small kind of setups to go in. But we have seen the modern things which are getting into it to go and work across. So when you are trying to talk about this to move, you are trying to have this kind of setup and things to move in and go across. So let us define the rural entrepreneurship. That's something which is the kind of goal which actually goes. And rural entrepreneurship is that entrepreneurship which ensures value addition. So we are looking at something called value addition to what? To the rural resources. We have abundant of rural resources, and how do I convert them into value base? It's like this, you have a tea gardens, how do you do? And you have a tea which is in rural kind of things to go, and how do I convert that tea which is available into a branded tea? How do I make it into a process kind of thing and add value to it? So we are trying to do that particular thing. Or look at an dairy product and to do, and how do I pick up that dairy? Could be a milk things to go, and how do I convert into one value per things to go? And so here it talks about addition of rural resources in rural areas, engaging largely in rural human resources. So entire entrepreneurship is all about a value addition using the rural resources and rural areas, engaging all the rural human resources. That's something which actually goes and talk about to define that. To actually look at the other level to go, and I can also look at rural entrepreneurship can be defined as an emerging at a village level. That's something which is a thing to go in an entrepreneurship which starts at a village level, which can take place in a variety of fields of endeavors such as business, agriculture, industry, etc., which will act as a potent factor for economic development. So when you talk about, other day I was watching an session TV program on, which is basically KBC, or Kaun Banega Crorepati of Amitabh Bachchan. I specifically watched the program on a Friday because they have done beautifully on a Friday, which talks about Friday evenings. I think you should all watch it. They are trying to bring in a lot of people who have done, it's called Karamveer special. That's something which is very beautiful. So that they pick up somebody who has made a difference in the lives of people, who have done something to society, something to go in a very different level and things to go, and where they talk about having them into that so that they inspire people. They look at their models to go. And so other day I was looking at the leader, absolute illiterate lady, who has moved on to something called Gulabi Gang. You would have seen a movie also which has been done on it. She is a Padma Shri awardee. The lady who had at a time very tough thing in her village, where he has no food at all, nothing to do, no survival, 2 daughters and a son to go on, and finally she decided to end her life. I was telling you, tell her story. So she decided to end her life. She took her daughters and children to go to commit suicide. So while she was on the way to go, and her eldest daughter, who was 9 years old at the time, she told her mom, "Ma, मुझे मरना नहीं है. So she said, I don't want to die, mother. So that when that particular statement of that, then she thought, let me do something. From there the fire started and she became an entrepreneur. She started doing small kind of thing to go, and then she brought in such a revolution in rural setups and things. Now her organization has 2 lakh women entrepreneurs. 2 lakh plus people joined her gang, right from eradication of social evils of drinking alcohol and all in their respective areas. They are working on artisans, they are working on cottage industry, they are working on everything to go on. A movement which has been brought in a thing to go on, and such a beautiful endeavor had come in. And imagine 2 lakh women means 2 lakh families, almost go, and it's a big kind of thing to go, which actually goes in and works across. So when you're trying to talk about this to move in, so you are having a kind of thing which actually works in. So we are trying to talk about having a entrepreneurship developing in that. So you need to have that spark. People are there. No, I need to make a difference in lives of us and others to go, and that's how the rural entrepreneur things start with. Look at the village enterprise. I thought I'll share you these kind of enterprises so that you will be able to locate and find out what can you do. Oh, this particular picture, the first picture which I'm pointing, the one which basically the first picture which is woman there, it is an organic beauty salon. You'll be surprised to go and run by women. They use all the organic kind of products to go and help you to get back your beauty or beauty parlor or things what we call in the kind of things to go and. Or today we talk about the beauty clinics. So they have a rural kind of thing. So they have done this artisan. They have come with an entrepreneur, so women who have come together and do. And I'm focusing more on women because they are the ones who are doing wonderful job across to go. And there are a lot of people also will share some success stories shortly. Look at the kind of artistic things in the right side of it to move. When you're trying to talk about that to go, and when you are looking in this particular thing, it actually makes a huge difference. So when you talk about this to go on, so this kind of thing which actually works and creates that basic difference to moves. Then you look at this lady who is there, who is trying to sell rural produce, and you talk about the rural artisans and all. Look at the smile, this lady who is into a small entrepreneur who runs into stitching certain small garments and all. So in this particular one at the last part of the photo in the left corner, so when you talk about that's a recent one which talks about from Assam. This lady started and the lockdown, all those problems with COVID and all. They got an idea, why don't we have designer masks, the masks which we have been using, and we say that's the one we are going to do. And the masks which are basically there, and the masks basically she started that enterprise and involved a lot of women who joined her movement, and that goes one. And second, there was one in Meerut also, when she was, this lady has now 2,000 women working for her who are really working on doing PPE kits, doing the quality masks and so on and so forth, including fashion masks to go. And so when you're trying to talk about this one side, this is then a person who is basically selling the rural veggie producers to go, and the kind of spices. You talk about vegetables, you talk about mandis and all. When you're trying to talk about, they're all small enterprises. Their contributions though is there. And look at the big clean. So today we talk about the the workers who are basically there, which actually goes. And so we talk about these people who are basically kind of builders of the thing. It was so pathetic feeling when we saw these people on roads, when the who have come to migrated to city because of things. So when you sometimes you feel very bad. I've seen a lot of people who migrate from a lot of states in the country to cities for the sake of employment, because the issues, they want to work, they have the thing to go with no avenues in villages. But if you actually develop villages on an entrepreneurial model, you have vast kind of opportunities, and you can actually stop creating this migration issues and make villages a real heaven for people to live with opportunities galore. So that's what it actually moves in and goes across. So look at a village entrepreneur, look at the potter, look at the artisans who have been there. I don't know how many of you do this Diwali. I basically bought only those. I mean, we usually buy those only diyas, earthen lamps, which are made by the potters. No designers, no things to go in, because we would like to support the local artisans and the local kind of thing to go in, because that's where it happens. So look at the kind of thing. We'll look at an entrepreneur who made a big thing with the pottery at a shorter point of time with the faggot of my session to go on. Or look at the women who are together as a cooperative movement, who are there working and create the kind of weaving, kind of ready-mades, kind of decoration, kind of handicrafts, kind of paintings and things to go on, which are so beautiful actually. The value of them is more, but only thing is the kind of support system which they are there, the problems which and challenges which you see, how do we meet them at the thing that goes in. Look at the organic farming. Today we talk about it to go on. This organic farming would create a wonderful thing to go on, which actually makes it so when you are trying to talk about this to go, you have this organic farming which actually works. And so look at the kind of support which are there. Look at the even COVID times, you have those people who are working and creating a lot of value for things to move. So when you are trying to talk about this, look at the beautiful handicraft, look at the beautiful kind of thing to go, and look at the artisan who's weaving the baskets. So we are looking at these are all small many enterprises and things to go, and we need to encourage them to make it wonderful to move. So when you are trying to talk about this, the village store, this is what I want everywhere to happen, from rural to global. So when you're trying to talk about this kind of thing to go, and that is where we bridge the global landscape with regional realities. So we need to know, we know that our villages have a lot of potential to be harnessed, but the only thing is we are not able to create that particular potential to the highest level. So when you're trying to talk about this to move, and so when you're trying to talk about this to go, so when you're trying to talk about this to go, and you have the rural village store. This particular village store actually moves, and so when you talk about this to go, and when you talk about this to go, this particular thing which works onto it to go and talks about digital thing. How do you take the rural thing to a global level, the village store? This is a beautiful concept which you need to do, and because I need to put this particular showcase it to the world, take this thing to go, and the Indian rural things to go which are beautiful to go, and you are trying to talk about having the kind of input which actually moves in and goes across. So create that difference, create the kind of thing which actually works and moves across. So when you are trying to talk about this to move, and when you have the kind of a concept which actually works, and so we are trying to talk about having the kind of thing which actually works and moves across. So create that digital rural entrepreneurship which actually works in. So we are trying to talk about harnessing technology to help our rural entrepreneurs to take their produce to at a global level. So that is something which actually goes and you are trying to talk about it to move. So when you are trying to talk about this to go, and you always have the kind of thing which is basically a kind which actually goes and goes across. So when you're trying to talk about this to go, and so when you are looking at this thing which actually works, and so use that technology which goes on. So rural artisans may be soon able to sell their products through e-commerce platforms. That's the vision of digital India. That's the vision of digital world. So when you talk about the Digital India Week, which was launched by Prime Minister of India recently, to talk about to empower the citizens with use of technology. So today we talk about having a rural kind of thing which actually goes and moves across. Where you talk about our rural artisans may be able to sell their produce to e-commerce platforms. That's what we are envisaging, that when you talk about empowering the rural entrepreneurs, how do I take them into the world to go on? So digital India. So when you talk about empowering them with the digital literacy to go on, doing that to go. Today we talk about mobile phones seeping into the global, into the Indian rural things. When if you have seen last few months of records to go, and there has been a lot of rural sector which has bought in a lot of mobile phones to go, and so that goes in, and they're very comfortable at using the smartphones to go. So you are trying to talk about training them to do, and how do I see those rural artisans to sell their products to e-commerce platforms, and a lot of setup which is there, a lot of NGOs are working, government departments are working, and things to go on, and helping them on. You have to take them across. I mean, we have been doing it. I also do certain things which actually help them out to that actually works and to go. Welcome to rural India. That's what we need to talk about. So the concept of go vocal for local is something which has been a wonderful thing to go on. So let us first support our rural kind of thing to go on. Let us be the first one who are going to talk about it to move. When you are trying to talk about this to go on, we are basically working onto it to go, and these kind of things which actually make it wonderful, and they make it to the kind of thing which actually goes and to go across. So when you're trying to talk about the global vocal and all things to go on which actually are there, so when you are trying to talk about having this thing to go and so you have this kind of thing which actually is there. So vocal for local, that's a beautiful thing to go, and let us be vocal for local. No, let us look into this. No, forget about the China, forget about the imports and to go. And I remember 5 years ago I was doing an live debate on television where I was speaking on TV. V6 actually was there, where I was talking about why should we not go for China so product, we should stop them. How do I do? And it was not about the India China war. Now I'm talking about 5 years back, 4.5 years back, to be more precise. So where I was talking about why should we encourage our rural people, how do I do, and how do I give a fight to Chinese kind of thing, go and have our own thing to go. And look at the women self-help group. When you talk about it, this is one showcasing of rural products. I thought that this picture would help you, where Pragati Maidan, you have this kind of thing. It was in 2018 where you had the beautiful thing where you have a showcasing of things to go. Recently also when it was there, you could have seen Prime Minister going to the Pragati Maidan and looking at the villages to go and look at the farm products. It could be dairy farm, it could be doing and milk, cheese and everything. You're trying to talk about adding those values which actually go and work across. So that particular concept of how do I bring in, how do I take my rural India to the whole world actually talks about it to move. So when you are trying to talk about a rural entrepreneurship initiative, you have organizations like NABARD, then you have rural SMEs development schemes which are basically working on doing village business ideas. Modern kind of education also. I have seen a lot of management graduates from IIMs and other places also are getting into rural kind of thing to go on, where you talk about empowerment. You have those business ideas which have been brought in and discovering the potential. You are looking at that because today we talk about anything which is rural is really natural, is really wonderful. So we are trying to talk about creating that kind of thing to go in, and our own in Hyderabad we have a village city or handicrafts village which is called Silparamam. This is the gate of it to go. So we talk about there, they are trying to showcase the rural artisans, rural entrepreneurs, rural thing to go, right from anything which is handicrafts to go into all those rural producers are showcased here. It could be anything which goes in, and it gives an opportunity for urbanites to have a look at what rural India has to offer. So when you talk about to go and you have the kind of thing which actually works in and moves across. So why should we focus on rural industrialization and entrepreneurship? That's a big question. That actually goes. And when you talk about this to go, when you talk about why, when you talk about urban, because here we have infrastructure, we have roads, we have rails, we have air networks and everything to go on. And why should we go to our village and which actually goes and moves across? So when you're trying to talk about this to move and so you have the kind of thing which actually works would be where you are trying to talk about having the focus. The poor of the world can't be helped by mass production. That is what beautifully Mahatma Gandhi, somehow Mahatma Gandhi was focusing on rural India. That's the reason, when I talk about MG University, the first thought comes in the Mahatma Gandhi and his vision and things to go on. So the poor of the world can't be helped by mass production, but only by production of masses. Such a beautiful statement which talks about it to go in. He says, when you talk about mass production, we focus on mass production, we focus on things to go in, but the whole thing which would happen would be the poor of the world who can be actually things to go in. If I want to remove Garibi Hatao, if I want to really remove the thing to Garibi Hatao has become Garib Hatao. We are not doing that. We are trying to talk about empowering the poor, empowering the ones who are working hard, what I if you do, and they really work work hard. If you look at the rural, morning to evening, their day starts very early till evening. They work very hard work kind of thing to go, and yet it's a small thing they are very happy about it. I was feeling so bad. Other day, I bought something on online. Because of COVID, I've started buying certain fruits, vegetable, flowers, and everything online. I had a kg of tomato for 10 rupees. Another day I had one bottle gourd for 5 rupees. I was wondering, what is this here? Come on, if a producer is selling at this price, what is in rural farmer getting it? So that's an issue to go, and how do I do? And so when you talk about the kind of a thing today, we talk about increasing the production. Yes, it is required for doing it, but when you talk about it, if its contribution by masses into the production improves, that is where you have everything to move in. So because 70% of Indians live in rural areas, still you talk about it, could be more also, technically speaking, and over 75% of rural labor force still earns its livelihood from agriculture and allied activities. So when you talk about to go and you are having the kind of thing which actually works, and which actually goes and moves across. Thus, the need for rural intelligence and entrepreneurship are there, because major chunk of our Indians are working in rural villages. So if I am trying to create that opportunities, create that industrialization, create that entrepreneurial networks to go, and support system to go, the backbone, because that's the backbone we need to do, and strengthen our backbone, because that is where we would do and give them the life which actually moves in and goes across. That is where your entire development happens, as beautifully put. Poor of the world can be helped only by production by masses. So we are trying to focus on production by masses and rural entrepreneurship and industrialization, yet keeping the original DNA intact. That's more important. Create that environment with not disturbing the rural kind of thing to move. So we're talking about thing to go, and urbanization in India is slow but sure death for her villagers and villagers. So beautifully said. Today we talk about thing to go in the more and more urban culture. Today we talk about earlier it was only few metro cities, except that you never had anything to go. And today we talk about tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities, towns, and everywhere we talk about it, where we are trying to talk about urbanization, more urbanization, more urbanization. That is way, because urban basically thinks about to go. But if I focus on villages and give them the facilities what we have in urban India to go and things to move, that would actually make a huge difference. But if you are trying to talk about urbanization in India, though it's a slow but sure death for her villages and villages. So we don't want to look for an India minus its villages, minus its identity, minus its basic thing to go on. So if you want to really see India on a global map with all these things to go on, let her be intact with her villages which have been empowered and things to go on. So what do we expect as India plus Bharat? That's what we started with. So when you're trying to talk about India plus Bharat, as people, we Indians, we expect that a corruption-free society, that's a big important kind of thing, that is that will enable a lot of avenues, a lot of things to go in, and a lot of knowledge about our past, because we were the ones who were number one in trade. We traded in spices, we traded in gems, we traded in jewelries, we traded in education. We had when the whole world was yet to learn to wear their, we were we had universities where we were dealing with 250 plus kind of subjects to go, and they are the ones who are basically working on to it to go. So you have that strong economy to go and know about our past, develop living standards. That's what we are trying to do. And because when I talk about a village to move, you are going to have this standard which actually goes and get those education reforms, where you're trying to talk about entrepreneurship being a focus kind of area, where you're trying to talk about creating that thing which actually works and moves across. So then what to see as a superpower, that's what we want to do. In end of the day, we want our India to be a superpower which actually goes on. So when you're trying to talk about the India plus Bharat, we would like to make it an India as a superpower to go. And I hope I'm audible, because there's some election rally going on behind me. So are you able to hear my voice? I think that should be fine.
Yes,
So
sir, you're audible, sir.
yeah, so I hope this session was interesting, and as per what do you want to do, and all the questions will be welcome at the end of it to go. I am trying to talk about things to go, and next we would do something wonderful to go on. So look at this, very beautifully. So this building like livelihoods, we are trying to look at that, when you are trying to talk about rural entrepreneurship, which actually goes and works onto it to go on. So when you are trying to talk about the rural entrepreneurship, we started talking about having international day for rural women. Why do we do that? Women's day is fine, men's day is fine, you talk about everything, but a day dedicated to rural women, because they are the one, the backbone, the entire India. You'll be surprised. People, somehow always said men are financially independent, who are the ones who create earning. It's not that. If you go in and see rural villages still today, rural women are big backbone, big support. They are the ones who take care of cattle. They are the ones who take care of agriculture, who work and to go and they take care of homes. They are multifaceted, multi-talented, and things to go in. And ever happy kind of thing. Do you look at the smile? What a beautiful smile it is. The smile shows the confidence. The smile shows their happiness. The smile shows this thing to wish we would have that smiles. What the smiles what we have are basically the smiles which are artificial. I know when we smile, it is not from the heart, but those people who are smiling there on the photos which you see them, which are basically the natural smiles, absolutely without anything to go on. So when you talk about to go on, when you look apne sapne apne kadam, that's what we're doing. And creating those dreams of rural India, rural people to move and create that apne kadam apne apne, your dreams and your efforts to go, and that will actually work across to move. So when you're trying to talk about this to go on, you always have the kind of thing which actually goes on. So Swadesh building livelihoods would do a wonderful thing to go on. See this. Wow, this picture actually moved me. Look at a rural woman who actually uh, has the kind of uh, the smile with technology. Look at the mobile phone, how comfortable she is. Look at the man, so thing to go on, senior citizen of rural thing, and look at the child who has the world in his hands. That's what I want. A rural child who's so empowered that he takes world in his hand to go, and that's what we want to have. So when you're trying to talk about the empowerment, which actually that would happen only when you are focusing on rural entrepreneurship, creating that, we would lead the world. That's what to go and look at the kind of new generation to go. Four generation people are sitting across. You have a rural elderly person with a child with a laptop in his lap to go, and so that particular thing great. That's the new rural India we are envisaging. We have the rural setting, rural background, rural environment, rural culture, rural thing to go on, yet modern technology, yet modern concept with empowerment, because we try to talk about communication, we talk about technology, we talk about education, we talk about end of the day we are trying to ensure happiness. That's what we want, happiness about things to go in that moves. So look at this. you know Look at the gold medal this girl has won, how happy their parents are. Look at that kind of thing to go, and this is what we want. The empowerment would happen, the education to go, and which goes. And now India is using internet, urban versus rural India. So if you have seen recent data also shows that rural India has been using lot of data to go, and government of India has tied up with Microsoft, tied up with other areas to go and to help rural things to go. And recently they have tied up with Microsoft to empower 2 lakh Indian women who are basically having no support to go and to learn. So they are going to do 70 hours of on digital learning as life skills to go, and then communication, everything to go, and they are trying to do it free of cost. That's a beautiful initiative to go, and we are trying to bring in them to go. So look at this. This is how the rural, bridging the rural gap. We are trying to talk about connecting to the world. The connecting would happen only when you are trying to give them, empower them with the kind of thing to go. So look at the kind of thing which actually goes on a family and a rural family, and then connecting to the world. This is the connection. This is what it took. And look at the people who are all smiles. So we want to bring in the smiles, and that would happen only when you are working on entrepreneurship to go on. Yeah, look at this. The technology which has seeped in to move in. So when you are trying to talk about to go and which actually works, and so when you are trying to talk about the kind of thing which actually goes, and you always have the kind of technology which is there. So when you are trying to talk about the kind of thing which actually works in and goes across, so the digitalization that we started talking about, the communication, the connectivity, because this is the connectivity, the infrastructure talks about it to go, and people do have somebody who says, why are you focusing on data when there is no ATA kind of thing. But when you talk about it, the data is on which will bring in the revolution, which will bring in the kind of thing to go on. So when you're trying to talk about the kind of input, the kind of thing to go, this is what the rural India, we want to have the changed rural India. What do you see in? So look at this, look at this picture. I liked it in the center. You look at the man who is having a selfie to go, and look at the person in village, a field to go, and talking to the world to talk about it. To go. Look at the children who are very happy with the digital connector to go, and look at the women who are in the fields and really having learning to go. It's just not about entertainment. It's about more of learning, more of opportunities, more of thing to go, and harnessing the technology to help them out to do, and the information. Look at the kind of thing. You can see the rural setting, and you have person working on a computer to go, and you have this very very absolute to go, and because a lot of efforts have been done and a lot of things are being done to create the kind of thing which actually works in and moves across. So look at the green heart. That's a made in rural of India. That's a beautiful concept which has been done. So we employing the woman worker from the rural India. There's a beautiful movement called Green Heart, and that's a thing which actually goes, and I would talk about it to work onto it to move. So we are trying to talk about this to go and look at the kind of thing. Look at the one. This particular picture where this lady is all in the produce of chili. We can't afford to look into that. You can't imagine yourself sitting in a heap of chili, but look at the smile. Look at the kind of thing, the happiness. That's her produce. That's the one which has been the kind of thing which actually goes. And so when you are trying to talk about this to go, which actually works and is the one which is thing to go and goes across. So you have this. Look at the charkha, the Gandhiji's yarn to go and the weaving which actually happens, the kind of colors which actually go and uh, work across. Let me stop for a minute. Let this procession pass. So when you are trying to talk about to go and look at the cattle, look at the smile which actually goes, and look at the lady who was working on his her sieving machine and who have been doing wonders to go on. So when you are trying to talk about the kind of thing to go, and you have the produce, the farmer very happy with his produce to go, and look at the one lady who is plucking the flowers and tea and kind of thing to go, and look at the one who is talking about the vegetables. So they're all entrepreneurs, rural kind of thing to go, and look at the one who is really doing wonderful work and stitching in her home to go, and which would actually talk about it to move. So when you are trying to talk about this to go, and you always have the kind of pride in doing the village to move. I hope session is going on fine. You're all enjoying the session? Yeah. So you can leave your comment in the chat box so I can see if you are happy about it. So when you talk about rural retail environment, when you talk about to go and you look at the rural retail environment, that actually goes and look at the smile, such a beautiful smile when you talk about to go and. So when you are looking, the opportunities are less, hardships are more, but you have the people who are all smiles. Look at the small setup of a doctor who is having a primary healthcare center. Look at the children who are keen on doing it. Look at the farmer who is very happy about it. To go look at the rural thing. Now shifting frontline. That's what is the basic thing which actually goes. And when you are trying to talk about the kind of shifting front lines which will make a wonderful impact which actually goes on the rural India. Just you. I know that's a beautiful photograph I saw. I thought I'd share it with you all. It's a beautiful picture. It talks about how entire India is envisaged. One picture which says it all, which talks about everything which works onto it, right from the industry, right from the people who are doing talk about it to go, everything which comes a part of it to go. That's the rural India. That's the India. That's the Bharat which actually moves in and goes across. Now, let us get into the need for rural. We have seen so much of it to go. So the reason why we have to work on focus onto it to go, and why should we create this so that we are going to have a global landscape where we can actually meet the global landscape and match the rural regional realities with them to go. So create work on employment generation. So when you talk about employment generation, which is basically a kind of thing to go, when you are trying to talk about it to go, and you have when you talk about this to go, and when you have the kind of facilities which are there, which are there to go. And so when you're trying to talk about creating employment generation, today we talk about having employment issues. Yes, when you talk about it to go, and I have been even reading the report which talks about where employability is really high among educated youth to go. And when you talk about rural things, let us focus on generating the employment, and the employment which actually goes and would be there. Once you talk about generation of employment, we talk about employment is here, self-employers, do and to go, and that's what we do, and income generation happens. So when you are trying to talk about income generation, you always have this kind of thing to move. And so when you talk about the income generation, that will actually create a lot of important kind of thing to go on, because income, once you have that money, it will be reinvested back, it will be there to go on. Because when you look at that, people there are in rural India are not really greedy. They are basically satisfied, they're contented, and they work, they worship the mother earth, and they live into that to go. And so when you talk about it, that will help in a lot of rural development actually goes. And so when you're trying to talk about this to go, so when you are trying to talk about this to go, and when you are trying to look into the kind of thing which actually works, and so when you are trying to talk about having the rural kind of thing which actually would enable things to go on. So when you are trying to talk about having the rural entrepreneurship, rural kind of thing to go, which actually works and focuses on things to go, rural development. We want that in rural India to get developed. That's what is the whole focus of the rural entrepreneurship and any of the programs to go. Because at the end of the day, envisaging Gandhi's dream or thing to go, when we talk about creating the rural India where you do not have any, what should I say, dearth of facilities, dearth of happiness, dearth of infrastructure to go. And so then building up of independent villages. We talk about Atmanirbhar. Today we focus on Atmanirbhar. So when you're trying to talk about Atmanirbhar to go, and we talk about building independent villages, self-sustained villages. Today we talk about some villages who are live examples, self-sustained. I'll tell you a village where you talk about they are highly sustainable, where you don't have to depend on electricity. They generate their own electricity, they don't generate their own water, they do everything to go. And so they are absolutely independent. So everything which actually goes in and walks across would get into it to move. Then there's a village which is they do crores of rupees businesses. A village in Gujarat who actually export the food, the kind of snacks and all for Diwali, across the world. They really have the entire village is Karodopati. The village, everybody is a Karodopati. You'll be surprised to know that there are rural entrepreneurs who have been empowered, and these empowered basically would get into go. And so this empowerment to do, so everybody in that village are crorpatis. You'll be surprised, if you search cities, you don't find everybody crorepati, but this village entire part, everybody is a crorepati to go on with, who is a crores and crores millionaire and kind of thing. That's only because they have done that, taken their entrepreneurial skill to a higher level. The Diwali snacks, they have orders booked 4 months in advance. You'll be surprised, they have orders booked 4 months in advance in the global trade, and these kind of global trade is actually goes across. So create those independent villages. Yet I have visited that village, it's so beautiful to go, and people are very, very hardworking, and they are entrepreneurial kind of thing, yet have that rural fabric in them done to move. And so when you're trying to talk about this to go, you have the kind of thing which actually works and would be there. Optimum utilization of local resources. We have a lot of local resources, right, from things to go. And when you talk about the kind of thing which actually works. And so when you are trying to look at uh, yeah, so you have this kind of thing which actually goes, and having the kind of thing which actually works. And so you have the results in rural prosperity. As I was talking about this millionaire village to go, and so it curbs rural urban migration. We had seen COVID had the problem, migrating workers. You talk about the workforce. So if you are giving that facilities in village, why will somebody come? Who will want to leave their home? Yeah, that's a question. And I remember somebody was telling me, you are fortunate enough, you are born in Hyderabad, you are still in Hyderabad, you don't want, because they migrate for their thing to go on, because that particular thing thing which actually goes because of the infrastructure, because of the lack of facilities, lack of things to go that works. And so let us look at the categories or types of rural entrepreneurship where you can actually focus on. This would help you out if somebody is keen on helping and or consulting or getting involved to at least as a service to do something on rural entrepreneurship. You can always look onto the agri businesses. There's one thing which actually moves, and a lot of things which happens at your agri business or food processing to go in. Then you talk about dairy products, then you talk about food processing. There's one big industry which could actually work in maybe at a small scale, but it starts working. And talk about mineral based industries, chemical industries, textile industries, one big thing to go in. Like to talk about Pochampalli village, you talk about the to go in, or you talk about all those Ahmedabad, the jute mills. You talk about all those places, sorry, cotton mills, and you talk about Bengal cotton, jute, and everything. You talk about a lot of industries are there in textiles and everything to silk kind of thing. You have all those Kanchivarams, they are all small villages which are basically a part of a thing which actually goes in and goes across. So when you are trying to talk about the kind of thing cottage industry, small cottage industries would do, and handicrafts as a big thing, because something which is there, the artisans. You talk about Bidri craft, you talk about Nirmal paintings, you talk about this to go, and you have a lot of our Madhubani paintings. Bihar, Madhubani is one beautiful painting, that kind of thing to go, and it is highly valuable to go in. Or Tanjore paintings. You talk about things to go. You have a lot of things to go which have been wonderful and goes across to go, and you have handicraft. Then you talk about non-conventional industries, so on and so forth, which actually goes in, and many more. Lot of category. You think of it, find out an avenue. You can always do that and move in. The shaping the bright minds of tomorrow, he starts with education in urban and rural. So you try to talk about creating that education, creating that thing which actually goes in and works across. So that is what is the model which talks about rural entrepreneurship development. So you focus on, basically when you focus on this to go, and you have the kind of rural entrepreneurs, rural development goals. So that's what we are trying to talk about, encouraging rural entrepreneurs, rural development goals, and things to go and would talk about basically things which actually work in. So you have that kind of thing, capacities for rural development, create that kind of thing which actually goes and focus on rural development to go. Opportunities or support which is available for the rural development, which are a lot of things which actually go on, would be organizations which are basically institutions like NABARD and many other things, regional rural development centers. You have RDOs, you have talked about who are focused on village development officers, who have that kind of thing, who are trying to talk about creating the kind of basic infrastructure, helping the people, skills programs to go and finance. Today we talk about a lot of Ujala schemes, a lot of things to go in, where you have empowering the villagers. You talk about Jan Dhan Yojanas, you talk about employment schemes like food for work program. You talk Manregas, you talk about things to go, and you talk about Jan Shakti Bhima Yojana. When you talk about Khadi artisans, and today talk about insurance for your crops. Talk about life insurances, medical insurances. Government has done so many things so that you are assisting them to go. And plus, you talk about working on rural employment programs to go, market development assistance. Today we talk about that is the whole thing which a government can do or an NGO can do, assisting the rural people, rural artisans or rural entrepreneurs to reach the world. That is where you are trying to talk about to go. And so you are trying to talk about creating the social thing to go, where you talk about market development assistance, developing the market. A lot of examples are there, we'll discuss at the end, where how do you do and how do you market. You have agri marketing products and so on and so forth, markets kind of thing, which help the kind of marketing efforts to go. And because if you are not able to effort, so they help you to do this particular thing on your behalf, so on and so forth. Then you talk about Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, which focuses more on rural kind of thing. Though we talk about the general focus, but we focus more on to the entrepreneurship to go and rural innovation funding. So today we talk about how funding a thing to go, and any innovation which is there which would be funded. We'll see some innovations where we discuss some success stories. So we'll talk about that to go, and which works and moves in. Then social rural entrepreneurship. I'll be addressing a session on social entrepreneurship shortly at BHU. So when next week. So we are trying to talk about that to go, and we are trying to talk about social rural entrepreneurship, because we are creating those social entrepreneurship and things to go in that works, and many more opportunities to move. So then we talk about look at this. we talk about welcome to smart city or smart village. We are trying to talk about smart city and or a smart village. We are looking at a smart village, a village which is self-sufficient, a village which has technology to go in, a village which is basically kind of thing which actually works. And so get into the smart villages, create those smart villages. Don't focus on smart cities. Cities will automatically become smarter if villages are smarter, because once your villages become smart, automatically the feeders are smart, and the output should always come to go. And so we also doing so, focusing on smart villages, that would take a big way to move in and go across. Then the challenges, what is the big thing which you talk about? It is a challenge for rural entrepreneurship. That's what I wanted to focus also on as a part of my talk. We talks about implementation constraints. We have a lot of policies. Look at the government level, look at anything to go, and all these years we have so many policies, but actually what happens here is there's an implementation constraint. How the implementation, when it comes to the grassroots level, it becomes very difficult. There's a lot of issues which are there which actually go and work across. So when you're trying to talk about this to go in, so you are trying to talk about having those things, simplification of processes. Then that's a big challenge, because how do I simplify the process to go and removal of process bottlenecks. When you talk about to go in, when you are looking at the kind of thing which actually goes on, so bottlenecks which actually are there, process bottlenecks, because that is one which is preventing rural artisans, rural entrepreneurship to go ahead. So to go in, or sensitization of implementing offices, because implementing these offices should have be sensitized for their importance to go in, because what happens is all these RDOs, VDOs, and everybody who are there, who are into it to go, and they are doing it as a job, not as a job, but a passion. They're trying to do how important is their role. If you sensitize them for their role which they're doing, I think that would make a huge wonder to go. And if not everybody, at least 50% of them could make a huge difference to go in. And start incubation system for rural entrepreneurship. That is something which is there, which is actually goes and works across to move. Then looking at a risk mitigation of startup. So the basic problem why people don't get into a startup or entrepreneurship, and specifically at a rural level, is the risk and working onto it. If I provide that risk mitigation, I say that I ensure your thing. I'll see that if you suffer a loss because of this entrepreneurial activity, will do the loss to go, and I'll support you so that you don't get into loss to go. And maybe we provide you management support, we provide you financial support, we provide you marketing support, we provide you any support to go in, so that we take up your risk or ensure your businesses, ensure things here to go in. So when you're trying to talk about to go, so when you're trying to talk about this to go in, so when you are looking in the kind of thing to go, which actually moves in, to go across, it creates a huge kind of thing to go in. So when you're trying to talk about so while you talk about it to go on, so creating that kind of thing which actually goes in and works across. Growth of mall culture. So mall culture, so today earlier we used to go to village santas, angadis, markets and all, but today the mall culture in urban cities, towns, even towns also has become a big thing to go on. Small two-tier, three-tier towns also looking at small growth of thing to one-stop shops, mall cultures, that's what it goes in. So that is really creating a problem for rural artisans, rural things to go in, because they feel that they are being not buying their products to go, so on and so forth. That actually works. And so that goes in power. And power is a big problem, ensuring power. At least now we talk about having the power which actually goes and which actually talks about having an entire thing to go power, which is the backbone of it to go. And today we talk about giving power for agriculture field and all, but if I talk about giving power so rural industries to go, that will actually give them a lot of things, infrastructure, the roads, the development, and to go. And while you develop and infrastructure around the villages, automatically it will create lot of employment opportunities, lot of rural entrepreneurs who will come up with the thing to go, and which actually goes in. Lack of technical know-how is a big thing. When you talk about a local, how know-how, that actually would create an issue to go on. The technical know-how is a big thing to creating them. If you could show them how can you do this better, how can technology can help you out, so that particular thing would do, and would create a thing to go. And capacity utilization, you have potential capacity, how do you utilize that capacity, and many more challenges always be there to move. So that goes in. So illiteracy is one more major issue to go. Though we talk about they They may not be formally educated, but they are lot knowledgeable. They know more about the nature. They know more about the kind of thing to go. But giving them a literacy would give them the power to calculate, the power to plan, power to work, power to have records. Everything goes in that goes in across, and giving them the kind of the lack of funds, the financial support, so on and so forth. That will create a huge kind of thing to go, and you create that awareness, you create that kind of thing to go, and you are working onto it, which actually works and moves in. So do that. Provide lack of funds is a big problem. Lack of awareness, and awareness among the rural artisans, rural people, how what are the opportunities available. So if you are doing this, program to create that awareness, that will go in. Lack of initiatives from the government, from the people, from everybody to go and to work and support the rural kind of thing to go. The management problems are big problems, right from resource management, HR management, you talk of financial management, talk about marketing management, operations, and all those facility management, everything would be a problem. They are the ones, if you are able to help them out with this kind of thing, that would actually go a
आशा जी,
long movement.
एक मिनट आएगा.
Uh, So government support on infrastructure, which is a big problem. So if you are going to have this kind of thing which actually goes and go across the middlemen, that's the one more problem. So removing middlemen, government are trying their best to talk about bringing in laws, regulations, so that they're trying to the farm to final customer or farm to things to go, and so that people are trying to talk about reducing the middlemen and so on and so forth, so that the profits really come to the ones who are working, who are the ones who are creating the things to go on. So that goes in, and many more problems which would come in and go across. The challenges, the most important challenge is the family challenges. That's what is the thing. To convincing to offer a business or a job is not an easy task for an individual. That is very, very tough in Indian scenario, and rural scenario is more tough because they feel that somebody is working, somebody is there. Will they be able to get more money than thing to go, and because you are getting an identity, will you take the loss on and so forth? That becomes a big challenge which actually goes in. The family challenge is one big challenge. Then you talk about a social challenge. A social challenge is where comparing with peers on, you say, yeah, this neighbor, they say, this guy has gone to America, this guy has done this guy has done this, and what are you doing here? So that becomes a thing, comparison. He has a fridge, he has a car, he has a thing, what do we have? So that comparison is preventing people because they don't want to take a risk. They feel that greener pastures is better to go, and that works around. Technology challenges, what technology would be ideal to use effectively to go in, and the financial challenge is very big challenge, difficulty in borrowing funds. Today we talk about having the lot of microfinancing, lot of SHG financing, lot of small and medium enterprise finance, rural financing, and things to go in. But still, in spite of all these things to go in, you have a lot of problems with this thing to go in. When you are trying to talk about these problems, which actually create, an issue to go in, so that which you talk about things to move in. So that works. Then you talk about difficulty, policy changes, because there's a lot of things. Whenever there's a government change, whenever there's a change in a portfolio, change in things to go in, there's a lot of changes in the policy that would really impact a lot of things to go in. So a lot of changes in policies to change the government. Then whenever there's there, so we do not have a thing to go in. We are not insulating our policies with the government. The government may change, but the policy should remain, because that should be an incremental thing to go on that actually goes. And there are many more challenges which are there. I think you'll be able to see some of them when you are into it, and when you go and have a thing to go. And possibly this time when you do, and what do you do here is, when you plan out now, it is wait for COVID to go. So instead of moving, when you are going to LTC or you are going to some places to go and have a camp in rural India, take your family, take your children with you, let them see village life, live 1 week in a village, absolutely in the village life. So you'll know how it goes. And the rural tourism is one thing which is a big thing. And if you do that, I think that will bring in a lot of things to go in. So now let us look in some rural entrepreneur success stories, and that would be the final concluding part of my talk, because that will give you an impetus into, getting motivation by things to go on. So next few minutes we'll look at some of the success stories and things which are been there to go on, and who have done big in the world, who have bridged the gap between global landscape and the regional realities to go on, with their acumen, with their innovation, with their thought, with their initiatives, so on and so forth. Start with
Sir, excuse me.
Yes.
Kindly share the PPT.
You're not able to see the PPT?
From last 2 minutes.
I don't know. It is shared. Let me just check.
Please,
Okay, I'll do that.
Sorry, sir.
I don't know. There's some problem with that. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'll do one thing. I'll go back to 2 slides so that you can see the previous PPTs also. Okay. So this is where you stopped. Where did you miss onto it? Just sec.
This is fine. This we have seen.
You have seen this?
Yes.
Yeah. Then
The next one also.
Next also is done.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we start with the things to go in. Thank you for telling it, because maybe this technology problems, that goes on. This is fine. Is that okay? You're able to see this? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It is visible. Yeah. So thank you. So I hope the session is on, right? You are able to hear me properly and also enjoy the session, right? Yeah.
True, sir. Thank you.
So when we talk about rural, the famous, Amul, Amul Doodh Pita Hai India kind of thing to go. And Varghese Kurian, I was very fortunate to meet this gentleman in his lifetime in person. I spoke to him for 45 minutes or 50 minutes kind of thing to go. And it was some one-to-one interaction. And I was so fortunate to meet this person who has actually brought in a revolution in the country, brought and changed the lives of so many, rural people to go. And he brought in a cooperative movement, Anand Gujarat, when you talk about it to go. And today Amul is one of the leading model of rural entrepreneurs to go, and they are the ones who are basically doing it so good to go. And when you're trying to talk about this to move, when you are looking in, which actually goes and works across to go on. So when you are trying to talk about this to go, Varghese Kurian, who has brought in the thing to go, he's a wonderful success story, and that actually goes in and goes across. So when you are trying to talk about a Korean story, all of us, that Amul, how did they empower the rural people and created them and rural entrepreneurs. Today, just not milk. Amul talks about everything to go, and right from all the milk products, and they are exported across the world. And we are on the global scenario to move, and thanks to the kind of thing to go. Then the Lijjat Pappets. That is something very, very popular, though it's exactly not really very rural, but it started with a lady, 7 women who have come together, took a loan of 80 rupees, and today they have 800 crore plus business empire across the thing. 7 women came together and started this cooperative business and entrepreneurial business, where they have now all the rural women, many rural women are employed into it to go, and it's all women enterprise kind of thing. They are doing wonderful job. When you look into that, they are the ones who bought in. There's no one in this world who has known about Indian papads and all, have not tasted Lijjat papads to go, and they are the ones who have baked a brand, the kind of thing to go, a business empire which actually started from thing to go. And you can see from 80 rupees loan, imagine that loan would have bought in an 800 crore empire which actually works and goes across. So I think there's a very inspiring story. If you read them, I think to go. And then small time, Mansukh Bhai Jagani, he's one thing who has brought in an innovation, a rural entrepreneur who has brought in a change for people to go in. So when you're trying to talk about him to go, he developed a motorcycle-based tractor for India's poor farmers, very, very cost-effective, costing around $300 kind of thing. So fuel efficient, it can plow an acre of land in 30 minutes in 2 liters of fuel. So look at that, he has modified the kind of developed an attachment for the motorbike. This could be attached to any 325cc bike by replacing the rear wheel with an assembly unit. It's called a super plow. It's called bullet santi. That's a thing, a cultivator with that pulverizes or smoothens the soil, as locally called santi. So that is what is basically taken. It is called bullet santi. So you use a bullet and you can have the farming activities like furrow opening, sowing, interculturing, and spraying operation. Everything is so beautiful. These are rural and made it there. One is after experiment here, they really helped the farmers to go on, and this entrepreneur has done wonderful by selling this kind of thing to go on. Then when you are trying to talk about this part, this is very wonderful, beautiful, mitti cool. I think you would have seen this particular beautiful innovation, which talks about a refrigerator without use of electricity. Absolute rural entrepreneur. When you talk about to go, and when you are having this kind of thing, Mr. Mansukh Bhai Prajapati, who has been featured on Discovery Channel, also talks about village fridge. This can keep it. It costs you around 2,000 rupees. Which could actually and all, which keeps your refrigerator, your fruits, vegetable, milk, everything fresh for more than 48 hours, and it does not use electricity. He started also on tawa pan kind of thing for $100, which is non-stick pan, which is 100 rupees, and absolutely thing which actually goes. And so this is a refrigerator and the beautiful model. Look at the art, entrepreneurial skill, that particular thing which actually goes and goes. It cools your water, it goes, and you look at this kind of thing. This has been wonderful discovery, wonderful thing which is made by Mr. Mansukh Bhai Prajapati. So that actually goes on. Look at this, Anshu. I was fortunate to meet this gentleman also, who has been a founder of Goonj, a thing which actually helps a lot of poor people to go and what we don't use, clothing and all. They also have a center in Hyderabad. I met this particular gentleman in Ahmedabad. We shared our diets together and thing to go. And so when you talk about this particular person to go, and so he has done a wonderful thing to go where you talk about transforming, clothing and the household goods are there from people who don't use you. You don't use something, you give it to him. He collects all those things to go and reworks onto them and gives it to the people and things to go so that people who are poor can do. In a socio entrepreneur have been a wonderful thing to go, and he's one who has actually made all the thing to go in and go across. Now Mr. Malesham, Chintakandi Malesham, an inventor of Lakshmi Asu machine. So when you talk about it, has ignited a revolution in India's weaving community. Is a wonderful innovation and a rural entrepreneur who has done this particular thing to go, and a machine can make 6 sarees worth of material in one day. So what it does is no human effort is required beyond placing the thread on the machine and removing the material after the processing is completed. So it does a lot of things to go, and it is one of the wonderful innovation. Has been awarded a lot of prizes for his innovation to go in and go. So he's a wonderful rural entrepreneur to move in. Then one more Mansukh Bhai Patel. He has invented a cotton stripping machine. That is something which has significantly cut down the cost of cotton farming. And revolutionized India's cotton industry to go in. Mr. Patel, who studied only class 10th and up to then, invented a cotton stripping machine. 91, and his stripping machine helps removing cotton from semi-open, unopened shells of cotton, various varieties. Machine has won a U.S. state patent. That's something which is a big thing to go in. And this machine has helped significantly a lot of cotton farmers, a lot of weavers industry to go and to do and help them to go across to move. Look at that, awesome. And look at this lady who has done very, very different to go. She has used a beautiful thing. She has solved the problem of funding also. She uses crowd funds for her capital. So Rajni Ben assembling sieving machines by hand. She makes those sieving machines by hand at her home in Gujarat, and she uses to buy the wholesale spare parts and builds those sieving machines with her bare hands. Such a beautiful skill she has learned, and her unusual business sustains her family by feeding high demand for cheap sieving machines created by Gujarat's garment industry. So when you are trying to talk about having this, she has done a wonderful thing. She's 27 years old, for your information. She has now we are 30. So when you started doing that particular thing to go, she's created a beautiful kind of thing. She has assembled the machines by hand, and they made it very, very cheaper so that a lot of people to go in, and she sells it for thing to go on. I hope these stories are inspiring, aren't they? Right. This is one more gentleman who has revolutionized HMT Rise. When you talk about this to go and this HMT Rise, which actually is working and goes across, would talk about this to go. And when you have Mr. Thing to go, when you are trying to talk very successfully rice variety which yielded 80% more rice than the conventional variety, now it has grown across all over India and over 1 lakh acres in 5 states. Dadaji, Ramaji, Khobrade. So this particular gentleman invented the HMT rice. Rural entrepreneur, brought in a change, a revolution to go. And I think these should inspire us to go. And I tried HMT rice also, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So then Fakirappa, look at that particular gentleman in the photo here. He manufactures drinking water, his village drinking water. When you talk about it to go in, but they did not have a potable water supply, so he took a water loan, purchased an filtration system, used it to transform groundwater into delicious drinking water, which he supplies to around 450 families in a village at almost 10 paise per liter kind of thing. Absolute wonderful entrepreneur who think his invention is being marketed now, and he is making it big to go and go across. Look at this lady from Mizoram. Her smile talks a lot to go, and she uses her tailoring skill to sew beautiful, stylish mosquito nets. in Mizoram, because mosquito menace is a big problem, and all those chemicals and all to ward away mosquitoes and all are difficult. But this woman, a local woman's love of dressing fashionably, he helped her to use the skill to finesse to tailor the stylish mosquito nets so that these nets are sold at a premium and people really buy them, and that particular thing makes it wonderful to go. So when you're trying to talk about it to go, and you have her working onto the kind of thing, she became a rural entrepreneur, wherein in tropical India mosquitoes menace to go, and her business is doing wonderful to go. So she's a role model for many people who can have the basic skill to go in, and that will work. Just it requires your imagination, acumen, and works across. And Sunita Bain, this lady who is a model, former model and all, who went back to her village to go, and she decks up the brides for mass weddings in Gujarat. That is what it goes, and she runs a makeshift beauty parlor, takes it contract for Samuh Lagan, which means Samuh Lagan, which is mass community wedding. So she decks up all the brides and families who cannot afford the cost of a wedding and makes the dress extra special. So absolutely affordable, wedding wear. She makes it, and it makes it wonderful to go in and go across. So when you talk about to go in, then look at this. Another lady from Mizoram, she also did the same thing to go on bridal wear. She created an affordable bridal wear for Mizo women, and these Mizo women basically are things to go in form. She was an electronics engineer, left her urban job, went back to her village. Look at this, how it happens, what it happens, how it goes into go across. She left it and moved on to one thing to go and set up a business designing and making affordable bridal wear. So while bridal gowns in India at retail set around 30,000 to 50,000, upper figure is no limit to go in. So her bridal wear gowns start at 10,000, which makes them 1/3 cheaper than this, and they're really doing a wonderful job, and which actually goes in and works across to move. And look at this man, Matthews. Matthew K. Matthews, who had loved to build traps and explosive devices to scare pests in his childhood. He did a pet solar mosquito destroyer. It's something which is there who award him an NIF award, and he started to kind technologies to make and sell this hawker to urban and rural markets, to destroy the mosquitoes at 1,500 rupees a piece. That's a wonderful social entrepreneur, a rural entrepreneur who had come with, the destroyer, which actually goes in solar technology, uses renewable thing and moves into go across. And there are some stories. What next? It's all about having the ability to know what you're capable of doing. So identify the people who have that ability to do things to go, and motivation determines what you do, attitude how well you do it. So if you are able to help them, people with ability, motivation and attitude, I think that would make wonders for it to move. So only thing we need to remember that some days you just have to create your own sunshine. So this is where a rural entrepreneur will do. You create your own sunshine and thing to go and goes across to go, and when they talk about it. So remember, when you're trying to talk about this to go, and if planet didn't work, it doesn't matter. Alphabet has 24 more letters. So stay cool. So help people who can actually do and to move across. So be a part of the survival toolkit, and that actually works in to go across. Create that one. India survives, India works, and India leads, and we see Mera Bharat Mahan moving up. So however difficulty the life may seem, there's always something that you can do and succeed at. That's what happens at villages of India. You find it difficult life, but they make it happen. They do it and they succeed at whatever they're doing. End of the day, they create happiness for themselves and happiness for everybody, and are working on to go in. Now with COVID, please remember, stay safe, stay home, and that's very important, and do something. Remember, tough times never last, but tough people do. Those entrepreneurial stories I shared, they're very tough people. There are a lot of more stories I wished I would have shared, but for time is a constraint. Some other time, some other day would surely do one. So remember, follow all the protocols. We are entering the third phase, though government talk about so many things. We are not there for government. We are the numbers for us. We are there to go in. So please be careful, be safe. Do COVID is still on, so don't worry about things. You take care of your thing. Do follow your things to go in. so that you can really get out of the crisis to move on. So new mindset is moving. So end of the day, what is important is, is not about productivity, it's out of something, it's about how healthy you are, how healthy your company, and how healthy your country is. And I'm sure India will come out with as a healthy country because of our traditional knowledge, traditional things, and things to go. And I know every home has become an Ayurveda Shala today, with all of them having the rural, ancient wisdom to do. And so rural India on a move to become Atmanirbhar. That is what we want. Self-sufficient, self-reliant. So let us start our journey to be an Atmanirbhar and make it wonderful to go in and go across. So building towards the future, and I know future surely holds a lot of surprises, good surprises and things to go on. One thing we should say at the end of the day, all you need is the hope and the strength, and the hope that it will get better, and strength to hold on till it get better. So I'm sure that rural India will have the kind of thing, and the gap which we have between the global reality, landscape and regional reality is bridged, and we are all there to do that bridging part to go in and go across. I hope there will be days when you fall in love being alive, because that's where we are doing something for the people, something to do. And so Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Jai Bharat. Thank you all. It's a wonderful interacting with you, everybody, to go on. So let us be proud to be Indian. Let us to be proud, part of our country, things to go in and work across. So any questions? It's welcome. Because progress happens when questions are not answered, answers are questions. So you are free to do it. So ask questions, or let's keep the conversation going. These are my mail IDs and my WhatsApp number. So anytime, anywhere you want to do, and you can always write back to me, talk to me, and do. And if you have some questions which cannot be handled here, you are free to write to me, and that goes. And you can give your feedback.
Chetan sir, this is Dr. Guru Vishal Sinha. I am having one question.
Yeah, can you come back, sir? Pardon me?
Chetan sir.
Yeah. Tell me, I'm able to hear you. Hello?
Hello, Chetan sir.
Yeah. May I know who is this?
I'm having one question.
Could you introduce yourself and ask me the question?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Hello? May I know who is this?
Hello.
You're free to ask a question, no issues. Could you be louder? I'm not able to hear you.
Hello, Chetan sir.
You are Mr. Guru Vishal, right? If you are not able to speak, just type in and I'll answer your chat. No problem.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm not able to hear you. Please speak. Start your thing, or you can text the question.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Tell me.
This is Prabhul from Mahatma Institute of Rural Management, Anand.
Yeah.
I have posted a question.
Yes. What is the question? Can I see your question? I have not got your question.
At 12:54 p.m. Sir,
12:54. Prafulla.
Yes.
Point is, rural entrepreneurship involves many challenges and things. How to handle such challenges, right? That's what is the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you talk about things to go, and one thing it starts talking about understanding and learning about a challenge. Look at a specific challenge. What do you have? There are a lot of organizations which are there to help you out, and NGOs to go in, and a lot of social workers who are there who can help you to do. And for example, funding, finance is the funding for you. You have a lot of agencies who can come with aid to help in, and so on and so forth. You also have angel investors. You have a lot of people today who are taking interest in rural kind of thing. That is one. If you have a management challenge, there is a lot of agencies who help you to work on your marketing, work on your finance, work on planning your operations, so on and so forth. There's also third parties who are doing that thing to go, and so you have a thing where the only thing it requires your initiative. It requires your broadening your vision of looking at, you have to try to source those agencies to go, and there are a lot of industry people who are helping you out to go, and government has a lot of schemes, a lot of people to go, and you can always approach them. I have seen them doing wonderful job. So possibly that is there, which would help you to overcome such challenges. One, government initiative is very important. The second thing is people initiative. All of us should decide to support rural kind of thing to go. And instead of doing, if we decide that I'll really support my rural kind of thing, I think that would be going on fine. That goes in. Thank you. Yes. Anybody else?
Dr. Anu from Chandigarh.
Yeah, madam.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are, madam.
Okay. Sir, just wanted to have an idea about what is the revenue generation during digitalization. If we try to connect farmers through digital platform directly to the customers, the person who is involved in making those digital platforms and the persons who are working behind, how will they get the revenue? Because the farmer is getting a direct cost for their product, and the customer is also getting the minimum cost. So what the in between person who is working there?
Yeah, madam, when you have a good question here. So basically, to start with, if you are a facilitator of rural trade, there are a lot of people are doing this digital platforms to go in and so on and so forth. They usually get a share of a small profit percentage, because you are now, once you are giving the farmers the kind of the platform to sell their produce directly to the customers through e platforms to go in. So automatically they get a better revenue for their products, what they have been selling till now through a middleman. Now that particular thing, now they get a good price for the, for example, if I'm selling for $100, now it will be, once it is on a good global platform, it could be at least a couple of times the kind of thing or more. So usually what they do is there's a revenue sharing model which helps them out to go. And so many people are doing it out of the passion to help a rural entrepreneur, but apart from that, they get a small kind of thing to go, and a service thing to go, which will make it operational, and their sustenance happens there. So they get a percentage of their transactions which actually go in, so that they get a profit to go in. For example, a lot of people are doing for handicrafts, a lot of people are doing for textiles and all. I've seen the people who are doing it, the rural artisans and all, the e-platforms who are offering them, and they get a small percentage of the revenue which is being generated, additional revenue which is being generated by the farmers or the rural entrepreneurs. It's a beautiful model, madam. If somebody tries it, you will really make it wonderful. Yeah.
Sir, just wanted to know how to convince those artisans and those farmers, because they know what the cost of their product is and what cost we are putting on the digital platform. So how to convince them that these are the costs which will be involved during transportation, because the farmer might be residing somewhere very far into the urban area, and for just delivering a single product, he can't come back to the post office or to the courier service to deliver a product which is far into the next end of India. So every time we can't afford to do that. So how to ask the farmer to, or how to influence those farmers or the artisans to what kind of model we have? I mean, can you guide on this aspect?
Yeah, ma'am, basically every village will have a chopal or a sarpanch kind of thing, or a village head kind of thing. It's not formal. I'm not talking about the formal sarpanch and all. So usually there are village people who are usually look up to and to go in. So you basically, when you meet them, you discuss your model, you show pre and post, you say them the value addition, what they get in. So before working on your model, what do they get? And after that, if you show them the revenue increase, if you show that the new revenue which is there for them to go in, so automatically if you are able to convince them on the benefits, additional advantage what they get in with moving from their traditional way of doing businesses, traditional way of doing into our kind of model. I think that would really put them across and show them the kind of thing, a model which would be a before and after kind of thing. And if you are able to show them the significant increase in their income, significant increase in their revenues and businesses to go in without basically adding up more cost to it, I think they'll be wonderful to go and convince the what do you say, the influencers in the village to go in. There's always a village headman, there's always a family head kind of thing, all those people to go, and I think that will really work well. So we have done it actually, for some of the villages we do have interacted with their headmen and discussed them this e-model as a basic voluntary service to go in, and there are a lot of artisans now who have their e-portals to go in and who have been doing wonderful businesses to go, and we have just assisted them with helping them to get global. That's the only thing. Yeah, ma'am. I hope I could answer your question.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, if I contact you, will be grateful if you can help me in generating that revenue model for the one I'm thinking about.
Sure, madam. I've shared my email
Okay.
IDs with you, and
Yes,
also
yes,
shared
sir.
my WhatsApp. You can see that. You can always get back to me. Will always, maybe I
Sure,
will not
sir.
get an immediate answer sometime because I know it takes some time for me to answer everybody, but I'm surely I'll get back to
No
you
issue,
without
sir.
fail. Yeah,
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
welcome. Welcome. Nice talking to you. Yeah, any other questions? I'm open. Yeah. First of all, let me thank you all for our wonderful feedback and thing to go on. And yeah, there are a lot of Mr. Anand. There are a lot of funding institutions available for rural entrepreneurship. Which is there, and specifically women are priority kind of thing to go, and you have a lot of models which actually go. SHG groups are there, self-help group, and which help them, or regional rural development banks are there. Then you have NABARD, who has a special quota for women to go in. So you always have a lot of entrepreneurship initiatives by government, and funding institutions are there, and you also have NGOs who are working in that sector who help them to secure finances for the thing to move in. Yeah. Any other question? Just looking at the chat window. 1 second. Mr. Abhijit Sinha. Mr. Vishal, you had a question, right? If you are there, you can type the question or ask the question if you are able to do it. Yeah. Guru Vishal Sinha, you had a question, right? Anybody else has a question? Or you can mail me or WhatsApp me the kind of thing. You are able to see my numbers to go in. No, that goes across. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other question? So thank you all for your patient and listening, as well as having an wonderful feedbacks to go. And so possibly we look forward to working on to it to go, and what it goes and goes across. Thank you. Attendance shouldn't be a matter, I believe. If you are all faculty members, I've seen so many chats were asking about attendance. I wish attendance should be the least priority. Basically, learning is more priority, but somehow we have that feeling that certificate and all goes and goes across. So let us not bother about it as a teacher. Let us bother about what differences we can make, which actually goes. And so I wish attendance, then I tell my students also many a time that attendance is not important. What is important is, are you attending it with your mind to go and to go across. So that is anyhow the formality. Once you're logged in, I think technology will have all of you to go in, and your attendance would always been logged in there. So don't worry about it to move. So leave your attendance worry. Any other worries you have, you can ask. That goes. And I think I think my time is up, right? We have done on the time. This is the time you wanted me to stop, right? Yeah.
Hello.
So yes, thanks a lot.
Hello.
Thank you very
Can I
much. Let
ask
me
one
thank
question?
Dr. Ravi Aluwala, Dr. Ramesh. I know we have been working since yesterday night on getting it on to go in and so on and so forth, for setting up this thing to move. That goes. And I should say, MGU has a special place in my heart because I've been associated with them from the beginning. That actually goes and goes across. I've been part of the MGU to go, and I always love to be a part of them. I never say no to anything which comes in there. So that's how I'm here. So actually, I had a PhD orientation program in the morning, but I just spoke for 2 minutes there and logged in into your thing. It was planned suddenly, so I had to go there and talk to them and start your session because I thought about 11:40 will start, but somehow you wanted me to start early, so I had to say no there, but I come back to you. So have a wonderful day. It was pleasant interacting with all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Sir,
Thank
somebody
you, sir.
has some question, it seems, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Any question you can ask? Yes.
Yeah, this is Dr. Pawar. Is it audible?
Yeah. Prashant Pawar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So actually, I was interested to know some good books related to this
Could you
topic.
be a bit louder, sir? I'm not able to hear you.
I'm interested to get the list of good books related to this topic. So if you can
Yeah. Please
somehow
mail
share.
me. Please mail me. I'll give you some of the good books and links. Okay. You can mail me.
Okay.
Huh?
Thank
Oh,
you.
what? Yes. Thank you. I'll give that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question?
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.
On behalf of all the participants, I thank you, sir, for enlightening us on the opportunities and challenges faced by the present rural people in becoming the entrepreneurs, especially the technological challenges faced by the rural artisans and farmers in reaching the e-commerce. Thank you, sir, for even sharing the success stories. Thank you for the colorful and informative slides you shared with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For
Thanks
the
a lot.
participants, now we'll break for the lunch. The attendance link is for the forenoon session is already shared in the chat box. The post-lunch session starts at 2 p.m. I request all the participants to join 10 minutes before the next session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.